Hi everyone, thank you for checking out this video. You won't see me this time because in my office right now there is a meeting, so I have a headset on and hopefully you don't hear a lot of background noise. What you're looking at right now is the review, and we're going to pretend like what I have on this paper is actually a whiteboard. And I'm trying to see, yep, I can move it. Perfect. So we're going to pretend like this is the whiteboard, and I'm going to start up here where my cursor is and talk you through some of the lesson and some of the stuff that's in the book, things that I think are really important. So on la página 29, la página, page 29, so go ahead and open your book to that page, 29. They talk about need and desire, and I wrote this up before I started doing this recording because I think it's easier to have it there and then talk through it. So let's look at this and talk through what this page says. So you'll see that there's the recording and then there's also this page. So you'll have this page as a link in Canvas as well, and you can print it if you want to. So when you're talking about need and desire, we use two different verbs. We can use necesitar, which pretty much literally means to need, and then desear, which means to desire, and sometimes we translate that as to want, and you'll see kind of what I mean as we go on. Notice I put these in order. I was being lazy. I didn't put yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, or ellos, ellas, or ustedes. I didn't do that on the side, but you know that. So we have necesito, necesitas, necesita, necesitamos, necesitan. Notice how the accent sort of changes with necesitamos. Let's try it again. Say them with me. Necesito, necesitas, necesita, necesitamos, necesitan. Let's try it over here with desear. Deseo, deseas, desea, deseamos, and desean. One more time, repeat them with me. Deseo, deseas, desea, deseamos, desean. So if we try to take these and put them into sentences, if I say yo necesito estudiar, I need, the verb is conjugated, but then this verb is not conjugated because it means to study. Conjugated verb, regular verb. When it's a regular whole verb, we call that the infinitive. When a verb is not conjugated, that's the infinitive. Let's look at this one. And I learned how to put the accent over my E again, the capital one. Él necesita tomar el agua. So this is the conjugated verb, necesita. The next one is not conjugated. He needs to drink the water. So I just put on here, notice, to study and to drink. They use the whole verb because you're trying to say to. Now let's look at desear. Ella desea mirar el televisor. She desires to watch the television. We can either use el televisor or la televisión. It depends on which one that you've memorized. She desires, right? And it conjugates this one, but not the to watch. Look at the next one. Nosotros deseamos enviar un mensaje de texto. We're the ones desiring to send the message of text, text message. And I say desire above translates really to wants in English. So we don't really say she desires to watch the TV. We usually say she wants. Same thing. You can use desear to mean want. If you're still on page 29, notice that there's another phrase, es necesario, and the whole verb comes after it. It means it's necessary to do the whole verb, whatever that verb is. Es necesario estudiar. It is necessary to study. Notice es from ser, it is, necesario, necessary to study. Es necesario tomar el agua. It is necessary to drink the water. If I'm talking about someone needing, I use the verb necesitar. If I'm talking about it being necessary, I use the phrase es necesario. Take a pause. You might want to review the information. You can always download it. You could pause the video, go print out the page that's linked on Canvas and use it while I'm kind of panning through my screen here. Remember, I told you that I want to practice 2 really important concepts, and this is new material, new lecture stuff, and instead of making 2 different videos, I just wanted to make this one video. So if you turn to la página 31, I should have done it like that. 31, 30, so we have our 31. We're learning about something, a phrase that we use in Spanish, and it's called gustar, and we say gustar like verbs. So verbs that are like gustar. Me gusta literally means it is pleasing to me. Let's look at this. This is the verb. If it's in the A ending, it's talking about he, she, or it, right? So the way that we think about gustar is that it is pleasing. Who does it please? Me. But our translation is I like. If I say it is pleasing to me, I'm saying I like it. That's our translation. We do kind of need to think about it being pleasing to me in order to understand why we do this weird stuff that's right here. So I went ahead, just like our possessors and our verbs, I outlined how we talk about who it's pleasing to. If it's pleasing to me, me. If it's pleasing to you, te. If it's pleasing to he, she, or it, le. If it's pleasing to us, nos. If it's pleasing to them, les. Now instead of having a verb that ends in o, as, a, amos, an, we actually have it end either in a or an. Let's look at an example to have it make any sense at all. If I say, me gusta el libro, it is pleasing to me, the book. But if I have more than one libro, I would say, me gustan los libros. They are pleasing to me, the books. Let's try a few more. Ella le gusta la mesa. It is pleasing to her, the table. Él le gustan las puertas. They are pleasing to him, the doors. Notice there's no gustamos, there's no gusto, anything like that. When we're talking about phrases like me gusta, we use me, te, le, nos, and les, and then only gusta or gustan. If it's one thing that you like, it's gusta. If it's more than one thing you like, it's gustan. We can also do this with verbs. Me gusta estudiar. I like to study. Nos gusta bailar. It's pleasing to us, we like, to dance. Notice the whole verb. It is a rule in Spanish that if you have a conjugated verb, the next verb is not conjugated. So let's stare at that for just a second. In your workbook, you actually do have a place and an assignment where you have to talk about things that are pleasing to you. So we started off talking about need and desire. If somebody needs to do something, we conjugate need, necesitar, and then we add the whole verb after it. If you need to study, I could say tú necesitas estudiar. If I wanted or desired to drink beer, we know that word, I could say yo deseo tomar una cerveza. Just one beer. Then we learn that there's another phrase. It is necessary. I might say es necesario tomar la cerveza. I'm not saying I need to drink a beer. I'm saying it's necessary to drink the beer. Then we moved on to gustar and gustar-like verbs. Actually, just this verb, gustar, and why we have other verbs that are gustar-like is that they follow this pattern. In front of either gusta or gustan, we refer to the person who likes it. Me, te, le, nos, and les. We can also use the gustar phrases and then put a verb right after it to say that somebody likes to do whatever that verb is. I hope that this makes sense to you. So now, your homework. So, homework in Spanish is la tarea, is to apply what you learned in the video to create 10 statements and 5 questions. So for example, I want you to do 15 sentences. If you were doing 10 statements, the first one might be something like, tú necesitas bailar los jueves. You're showing me that you're applying something from before and something that we learned today, using necesitar and adding the verb. So this says you need to dance on Thursdays. And then if you were doing the 5 questions, apply what you know about questions. You might do something like, I always forget how to do my accents right when somebody's watching. There we go. ¿Quién le gusta estudiar en la clase de español a las 5:30 de la noche? You took a phrase, we know how to do this stuff, but you added a question to it, and it's a question that makes sense, and you showed me that you know how to use the gustar-like verb. So I'm just asking 10 statements that aren't questions, using what you learned here today and adding stuff that we've learned from before, and then 5 questions. Show that you know what these question words mean, and that you can use what we did today to start talking about some questions. So you can't steal my 2. You have to create your own 15 sentences, 10 are statements, 5 are questions. And let's talk about what this one's asking. ¿Quién means who. So who likes, or it is pleasing to who, to study in Spanish class, class of Spanish, at 5:30 at night? So nobody, because we have Spanish class at 11. But this is your video. I hope that this works for you. I used to actually do lots of video course correspondence with face-to-face students, because I think sometimes rewinding and looking at it this way is easier than scribbling on the board, and maybe I go too fast or too slow for you in class. Please make sure that this homework is either submitted on Canvas or turned in to me on Monday. So if you're going to submit it on Canvas, make sure you submit it before class on Monday. If you're turning it in on Monday, go ahead and just turn it in to me. You don't have to type it. You can just write it out if you're going to give it to me. We do still have our test on Tuesday, which means Monday would be our review day. You do need to get your workbook done. So I am putting, you probably see that I will put this document on Canvas. I'll put this video on Canvas. You found it because you're watching it. And then I will also put a reminder in the announcements. So don't come to class. Tell your buddies not to come to class on Thursday and Friday. And I will see you in class on Monday, where you will either have turned in your homework already in Canvas, or you'll turn it in to me. You will be working on your workbook, and you'll be ready for a test review on Monday.